No driver gets to Formula One without a supportive family. In this video, I'll introduce you to the family members behind 5 of the current 20 F1 drivers. The road to Formula One is a bumpy one, and any driver who makes it has no doubt had plenty of support from their family over a number of years. While there's a tremendous financial cost, there's also a real investment of time required, along with physical and emotional support. I'm about to introduce you to the parents and siblings of 5 Formula One drivers: Mercedes' Lewis Hamilton, McLaren's Lando Norris, Ferrari's Charles Leclerc, or Charles Leclerc if you're French, Renault's Daniel Ricciardo, and Toro Rosso driver Pierre Gasly. Let's kick off with 6-time world champion Lewis Hamilton and his mother, Carmen Leblastiere. I trust that's how it's pronounced. I photographed her here with Lewis after he won his 5th world title in Mexico in 2018. Carmen typically keeps a very low profile, and I was surprised to find that I even had a shot of her. Carmen married Lewis's father, Anthony Hamilton, and in 1985 they had Lewis, but the pair separated 2 years later. Lewis was raised by Carmen until he was 12, along with his half-sisters, Nicola and Samantha. Now, I've not seen them at the track during my time, but that doesn't mean they haven't come to watch their half-brother race at some point. Lewis's father, seen here having a jovial chat with Sebastian at last year's British GP, managed Lewis's racing career for 18 years, starting off in karting and ending in 2010. When Lewis was 12, he went to live with his father, his stepmom Linda, and half-brother Nicholas. Nicholas has cerebral palsy, but that hasn't stopped him competing in motorsport like his brother. He debuted in the Renault Clio Cup Series in 2011 in a specially modified car, and in 2015 he became the first disabled athlete to compete in the British Touring Car Championship. In 2019 he returned to the British Touring Car Championship, racing with Motorbase Performance, where he finished at the tail of the field in 32nd position. Next up is 20-year-old McLaren driver Lando Norris. The likeable Brit was joined by his family at a number of races during his first season, and I had the pleasure of meeting his parents here and chatting with them on a few occasions. They are delightful people. Adam's British, Siska is from Belgium, and Lando has dual citizenship. The family lives in Bristol, England, and here's Mum having a chat with her teenager last year at Silverstone, and Dad doing the same thing. I'll come back to Adam in a little bit, but first, this is Lando's older brother, Oliver, 3 years Lando's senior. The pair both karted as youngsters, enjoying the backing of Dad's company. He has 2 younger sisters, Flo on the right, who's an accomplished show-jumping rider, and Siska on the left. Yes, Mum and youngest daughter have the same first name. So back to Adam. He's a very down-to-earth guy, quite an astute businessman too. He established Britain's largest pensions fund before getting out of that industry and starting this company, Pure Scooters. Now, I did photograph Lando with a Pure scooter last year, but I can't find him featured anywhere on the Pure website, which is kind of funny. Given how popular he is, I would have thought he'd be a Monty to assume a brand ambassador role. Maybe that's still to come. A couple of races later, I photographed Adam at Silverstone showing Charles a scooter, so that's a good segue, I guess, as any, into Charles Leclerc and his family. Charles is 22, a resident of Monaco, where his parents Pascal and Hervé brought him up. This is Pascal in Melbourne, I think, from last year, and another shot from Hockenheim mid-year. This is Charles's dad, Hervé. He died in June of 2017, aged 54. I never got to meet Hervé, but I understand he was passionate about his boys' motoring ventures, in particular karting. Here he is with Charles at a meeting a decade or so ago. The couple had 3 boys who are seen here with Pascal. Last year I shot the brothers at Monza. That's 31-year-old Lorenzo on the left and 19-year-old Arthur on the right. Here they are a few years ago, and thanks to Arthur for these fantastic family snaps. All 3 boys karted when they were young, but as you can imagine, having 3 children in motorsport was a fair drain on finances. So when money got tight in 2008, Lorenzo and Arthur gave up racing, leaving Charles to pursue the sport for all of them. Arthur had been karting since he was 4, and in 2014 he got back into karting with his father by his side and won the Kart Racing Academy Championship in that year. Once again, the cost of racing saw Arthur sidelined until 2018, when he secured a drive in F4. He did well in 2018, finishing 5th in the series, and last year ended up 3rd outright. And as you may have heard recently, he's now a member of the Ferrari Driver Academy, a big step for the young driver. Before Hervé's death, both Charles and Arthur made commitments to their dad that they would make it to F1 and F4 respectively. It's widely written that Charles actually told his ill father that he had secured an F1 seat, which, while not true at the time, turned out to be fact some 6 months later. So that's Charles Leclerc's family. Oh, and quickly let me remind you that the Saturday of the Australian GP 2020, I'll be holding one of my F1 private room long table dinners at the Smith in Prahran. There's a link to the booking page below and I'd love to see you there. Next up, Australian Daniel Ricciardo, age 30 from Perth in Western Australia and racing for Renault this year. Meet his dad Joe, one of the real characters in the paddock. You might have seen both Joe and his wife on the very first episode of the Netflix show Drive to Survive. Like so many other fathers of F1 drivers, Joe guided Daniel through his formative years, acting as both mentor and manager. He runs an established earth-moving company in Perth and is a passionate F1 follower. He attends a number of races with his wife Grace, who works alongside him in their business Ricciardo Earth Moving. These two are solid gold people and a pleasure to be around. Joe's passionate about his cars. He also loves old motorcycles. Being Italian, family is paramount. In Abu Dhabi in 2018, his parents were on hand to watch his final race at Red Bull. It was all smiles as Daniel embraced his parents out the front of the paddock and then walked into the paddock with them. I do like photographing the Ricciardos in the paddock. They always have a smile for me, and occasionally Joe will flip me the bird. Like father, like son. Dan also has a sister, Michelle, but I've not ever seen her at the track, so unfortunately I have no pics. And finally, in this group of 5 drivers, Toro Rosso driver Pierre Gasly. Pierre comes from France, but now lives in Bologna, Italy. He had the best result of his F1 career in 2019 with his 2nd place in Brazil. This is his mother, Pascal, same first name as Charles's mum, and seen again here in the Hockenheim paddock in 2018. She's married to the jovial John Jarks. I photographed and chatted with them at a few races last year. Absolutely lovely people who seem obviously thrilled with their son's achievements in motorsport. For both, this is their 2nd marriage and Pierre their only child. Both have children from previous marriages. As a result, Pierre has 4 half-brothers, and here they are. On the very left is the eldest, Nicholas Karen, and his brother Cyril on the right, boys from Pascal's first marriage. And this is Philippe and Paul, Jean Jacques' children from his first marriage. So that's some basic family background on 5 of the 20 F1 drivers of 2020. If you've enjoyed this video, I will ask you to like it, and if you haven't done so already, please subscribe to the channel. It's just one click, and while you're at it, click the bell so you get notified of future videos. You can see all of my images at prostarpics.com. My podcasts and blogs are at kimellman.com, and for my best pics live from the track and throughout the year, head to Instagram at Kim Ellman. Thanks for watching and stay passionate.